Hey guys, in today's video tutorial what I'm going to do is I have written a little application, basically a simple card game. I wrote it very recently, so basically what I have is what this application can do is it's kind of like a work in progress application right now, and it basically I have a drop down list here, and here you can. And it only deals with a deck of card. As you know, in a deck of card there is 52 total cards. So I have decided to have up to and each player would get 3 cards. And this card has rules like a pair of card, whether it is a straight or a higher card or floss or whatever. It evaluates all those and basically distributes 3 cards for all the players. I choose, for example, here 8 players, so it distributed 3 cards for each of those players. And now, once it distributes, it also tells what kind of card each player has got. And my ultimate goal is, of course, I haven't completed this feature yet. I will have this button here when I click this one, and it basically evaluates all the cards and then tells you who is the winner in that particular game. Very simple idea. Of course, this idea could be expanded to write all kind of application. Anyway, it's just kind of like my hobby to write all kind of process and always share the knowledge that I have acquired. Anyway, this is how it goes. So basically, of course, when you write anything, you need some sort of business rule. Of course, everything is written in JavaScript. I'm using Visual Studio IDE to write the code, and then all the code is basically inside this folder called Card Games. Everything is all the HTML, all the CSS, and all the images that I need, and all the JavaScript code logic is here. Okay. Anyway, the very first thing you have to do is, of course, you need to define what card is, right? So that is done by this little let me bump the font of this one. Let's make it a little bigger. So I said, here is my function, a constructor function in JavaScript called card, and the card has 2 property. You can define 2 values for the card, the suit of the card and the card value. And inside here I define some of the property of this object called suit. Whatever you just pass in is set it to that local variable, right? And then the card value that comes from the constructor function that is defined here. And then I would like to, this card value is basically going to be a number, but however I would like to have a nice name for the suit. So instead of writing the number 1, 2, 3, 4, I'll decide 1 to refer to diamonds, and 2 for hearts, and 4 for clubs, etc. And to find that out, I have this self-executing anonymous function here, and then it's called ify, right? So basically this automatically gets executed because it's defined here, and then it's being called right away by passing whatever the suit is. And then the end result, of course, the execution of that function would be either based on this input 1, 2, 3, 4, either diamond, hearts, or whatever. That's code is doing, and exactly the same idea like a card type, whether it's a S or 2, the string representation of this number. Rather than having a number, I have a string representation. If it's 1, if it's S card, right? If it is 11, it's a jack, or 12 is green, and etc. Exactly the same idea. Okay. Now, once those 2 things are defined, I would like to, I have this property called resource path. I need to display these images on the screen, so I need to identify the location of the image where they are located. So they are located, as you can see right here in this. Okay, and after that, using the prototype, I define a method in my card called get card resource path. And here it's always good because in JavaScript it's always very important. The value of the D's always depends upon the context that it is being running. So it's just to make sure. Of course, this here refers to that a card object. So I'm assigning the reference to the card object into this local variable within this method, right? Okay, just that one, just to clear it out. Anyway, once I'm done with that, then I can say what is the card value is. Based on the value of the card, if it's 1, 11, 12, or 13, then their name. I had to do this little switch statement here because if here's my images location, and here is a card folder, and here are all the cards here, and as you can see, they are stored as an ace rather than 1, right? So here's ace, so that's why I had to convert that into that. Same thing for jack and queen and king. And otherwise, just default value. If they are either 1, 11, 12, or 13, their corresponding value of the resource value would be ace, jack, queen, king. Otherwise, it's 1, 2, 3, whatever. And then basically, I'm returning the path, right? So I'm returning this images and cards. It's just my directory where my images are located. And the resource value is just this evaluation right here, either 1 or 2 or ace or queen or whatever, and just the concatenation of this string. And finally, the name of the suit and the PNG file. All these are PNG files. Okay. So basically, when these methods get called here, it calls that one, and now it knows, it knows the path where the card is located. Okay, that's the whole point of that method. Okay, this one is just when this one, the print method is not important. I just wanted to make sure in the beginning when I wrote it, I always want to see in the screen and stuff. Okay, now I have a card defined. I have my location where the card is and the representation of the card. I have a suit, all those information. Now I have to create a deck. To do that, let me put a line number here so that I can explain to you better. Go to text editor, it's a JavaScript, so then display the line number. Okay, this creating a deck is pretty easy. I can even close this one here if I need it. Okay, this is the little method here, 100 to 107, just to create the deck. I have a here basically I have a anonymous function here, right? So basically I have a total of 52 cards. That's what I'm trying to iterate, and I have a 4 suit and 13 cards. So total of 52 iterations, and on each iteration, if you go into the very top here, there is a little private variable for this first deck here, which is an array. Into that array, what I'm doing here is basically setting that, basically populating those 52 cards here, right? Basically creating a new card. Remember, like this, this is my object card. I'm creating the constructor function here by using new operator. And then, as you know, this guy takes 2 parameters in his constructor: the suit of the card and the card count, which I just passed those value here. And of course, it's going to run the 52 iteration and then basically populate my deck here. Now I have a deck having the cards. Very cool. This is all I have to do. Okay, the next thing I have to do is to shuffle the card. Now I have the deck, and before you being able to play the card from the deck, you basically have to shuffle it, right? The shuffling the card is pretty easy. It's just a swapping thing. So basically, you're going to go over you basically start with go over all the cards, and basically this is the most important thing is this one. So basically, you say, okay, give me a random card, whatever card. Basically, ask this math the random function. When you call this method, it returns a number in the range of 0 to 1. It's a floating point number. That's why I have to convert that into floor. Before you convert that into floor, you're gonna multiply that number by the length of your array. In this case, it's 52. So basically I'm asking, give me a random number in between 0 to 51, and that would give me the card, that would give me the index, and once I find that index, and I have some variable to do a little swapping algorithm. This is for just shuffling the card. Okay, that is that. And then I have this kind of like a utility method here, utility function to initialize the deck. Initializing deck means you create a deck and shuffle it, that's it, and then right away this gets invoked. This method right here, when it's called, it basically creates the deck, shuffle the card, that's it. And the most important method is this one right here, get cards. So the good thing about this one is, like, this method get cards has the parameter called cards count, so you can ask for as many cards as you like from the deck. Of course, there's a restriction. Of course, you have to have some sort of validation before you go in here. So, for example, I have done just to, if there's nothing on the deck, that your deck is empty, or the card that you have asked right here is less than, the count is, if it's less than total count, then you have to initialize the deck. Just to, there might be different business rule here, but just to make it easy, I said, okay, you know what, your deck is almost empty, so I have to initialize the deck. Okay. Otherwise, just as many cards as you have asked, and you go through each of those. On each iteration, all I'm doing right here, except this validation here, on 142, just pop the card from the deck. So give the first card from the deck, right? That's what this pop method does. It's one of the method of the array. And then I put all the card into this local variable, and then once I'm all done, just return that. Return the requested card by the user. That is that. I'm not really using this evaluate card. These are, I was just testing for other purposes, and this is the same thing. And once all that is all defined, and of course this bunch of private, these are all private method, have a scope of this method is within this object, right? With this dig function. So that's why I have to, if I want to give the access to the outside world to those functions that I explained to you before, I have to return those functions here. So that some people from outside might call something like dig. I need to say create a new deck here, and then get requested cards, and let's say if I want 10 cards here, give me the 10 cards here, like that. Okay, so basically to the outside world, to the client, only these three methods would be available. Okay, that is my that's the first thing. I have a deck, now I have a card, and my deck is all set, and then you should be able to shuffle the deck. Okay, now let me go to my Solution Explorer again. Okay, now those are easy. Now I have just by having that, I should be able to display it. I will be able to display the card, but that's not the point, right? The point is I should be able to say what kind of card this player has, whether it's just the highest card. And to do that, of course, now I have to write some sort of logic, some sort of algorithm, so that it can say, so I can say, oh, okay, you got a card, you got a highest hand card, right, with the highest card value, the king. Or you might have a pair of jack, whatever. Just to be able to do that, I need to write huge amount of logic. That's the next thing I'm going to talk about. Okay, here is Okay, I'll explain to you. This is of course more involved than create. These are all the logic here. It's the same idea. See right here, it's a method. You know, this modular pattern, JavaScript modular pattern, it has a bunch of private methods here, and then it exposes some of the method to the client, just like I did for the other. Here, I just have a two method here. I wrote this one first, just kind of basic evaluator, and I wrote second method, evaluate player hands. Here is, and then you will see the evaluate player hands is the public method, can be accessed by the user. Okay. Remember, like we have a cards, and then I define this rule engine here as a JavaScript object rule engine. The rule engine, when it's called, it has a array of cards informations, and which is stored into this local variable at line number 5. Okay, this is not really important. This is, I was just playing with how it can behave, whether this console log right here and console log right here, it's just to see, because I wanted to sort it, the card that was there. I just want to see whether it's sorted or not. Okay, it's not really the important. The important part is right here, the cards, array of cards are set or not. Okay. I'll explain to you. Okay. Now, there is a certain rules in this card game that I'm designing. Like, I need to find out whether a player has a three of a kind card, or pair, or floss, all those things. And of course, you know, I haven't really tested this method. Method. My unit test is not great yet, but of course, you know, but so far I haven't got any problems. But so just to let you guys know, there could be, you know, some bug in this logic. But anyway, so to the rule engine, I'm saying, hey, try to find out whether there is a three of a kind card or not. So how do you do something like this? Because, you know, here it's just like this. I have a reference to all the cards here, and then I said in this variable, okay, give me the first card value. I'm saying, okay, this is the first card that cards has. Give me the first value of the card, okay? And then I'm going to go over all the cards in the hand, all the cards that are given to me. On each iteration, compare whether this card, this is the first card, is the same as this one, right? In the first iteration, it is, because, like, you know, that's what I'm comparing right here. Because I'm grabbing this card, the first index card, and then it's comparing. In the first time, it is the same card, goes in here in this increment the counter. But however, and then before I start a second iteration in my loop, I make sure this given index card value, set it to the new one, and then when I do compare this one, if it is the same card, it becomes second iteration and third iterations. If all of them matches, I said, okay, if the counter is greater than or equals to 3, it just should have been just equals to 3, right? But this is okay. So if you find all three cards having the same value, then basically you find the three of a kind. There could be so many different ways you can implement this one, but this is just the easiest one I just implemented. Okay. These are little method helper kind of method. I'm not going to go ahead and explain. It's a two of the pair is a little involved. It's little more involved than just other. I will explain this one a little later. So I'm going to go just to decide whether the card is a floss or not. Okay. So this one is just like the three of a kind. Its floss is basically, I'm looking the same thing, three of a suit, right? If all three card has the same suit, I mean, like, if all the card that is given to me has the same suit, then I basically found the floss. It's a floss. And straight floss is Before I will tell you what the straight floss is, I need to explain to you what is a straight of a card, right? This one is pretty easy. So I'm basically looking for the difference of sequence between two cards is just one, you know, in all of them card, then I have basically found the you know, straight cards. That's what this code is saying. Basically, I'm going through all the card, and on each iteration, I'm trying to find out the difference between the last card and the current card that I have. This is what I'm doing right here. Once I find the difference, and I check, okay, if the sequence is just in this first iteration, basically, if it's a 0, it's, and if it's a the sequence is equals to, you know, if it's this matches, then I'm basically putting the first card into the result set, right? Because I'm doing index -1, and it starts the loop, continue. So if it happens, continue. Don't do this, just continue this one, right? If it doesn't happen, then come in here, check the difference that I just calculated right here, whether it's a difference between those two cards is absolutely 1. Otherwise, it's a difference. If it is, then, you know, set it to true this value into the sequence, otherwise value 0. It would be 1, right? And then finally I said, okay, if there is some data that is put into this array, then I know I have found the straight cards. Okay, next thing. This, and there are other rules. Okay, these are really involved. This is kind of like this method. You know, I have to do a lot of refactoring on this one here. This is kind of like a bulk of the method that decides what kind of representation I should give into my UI, and decide, basically calls all those and asks, hey, do you have a straight card? Do you have this card? And even it's the main rule engine. Okay. This method, and then, you know, this is what I would like to return to the color, so that I can see. I need all this information later, because remember as I told you, you know, right now I have just this feature. My goal is to just to evaluate. So by clicking this button, I would like to have all these cards, all these players' cards evaluated and determine who is the winner in the round. Okay. To be able to do that, I realized that I need to have all this information. So this function, this method here, as input it gets all the card, and it does the evaluation, and it returns this result set. And of course, you know, like this is my rule engine. It calls basically the constructor functional to rules engine and give all the cards that was given to by the client. And then, okay, once I have this rule engine called the first card rule engine, I can say, hey, is your result of the evaluation is a 3 of a kind. Then the result in key would be 6. The result value would be 3 of a kind. And I would like to find what is the highest card and what is the proper display name for the highest card. That is what these 4 properties of this object is doing. And if that's the case, just you don't have nothing to do. Just go ahead and return that result to the color. And the same idea here. And if the card is a straight card, and it's straight and the floss, that means, like, you know, if you have hand of straight floss card, and it's a straight, just to show, oh, okay, you got a straight card. If it's a floss, tell the player it's a floss. If it's a pair, it's a 2 pair, you know, you found the pair cards. Otherwise, means like you just have a highest hand card. That's just the if statement doing right here. Just the highest card. Okay, that is what this method is doing. Of course, this method is private to the whole object. That's why, as you can see later down here, this is right here. Evaluate player hands is exposed as a property, as a method to the color. Okay, now I have the logic built. Now I have a card, all my business logic, is all developed, right? The next thing is, of course, the consuming this. How do you consume it, right? And I started writing this in a plain, without using any kind of JavaScript libraries like JavaScript frameworks like AngularJS or whatever. Just the first version I wrote strictly in jQuery and the DOM. And I realized that this version, just having those information, writing all those in JavaScript and using even with jQuery, is a huge amount of concatenation, huge amount of JavaScript code, even with the jQuery. So, and finally I said, hey, you know what? Let's give it a try to AngularJS. So for the binding purposes, I'm just going to use AngularJS here. And it turned out to be so much easier. I'm not saying jQuery you should give up and start, go into the bandwagon of AngularJS, but everybody, all the technology have their own places. But this is the code. This is all the code that I have for the AngularJS. Of course, this is just the view, right? Just the markup. It's a lot easier to do this kind of stuff, all the binding and displaying, all those things, a lot easier with jQuery, the AngularJS. Okay, anyway, so what did I do? I just said, okay, I just wrote a little controller here. I don't have all the services, and my goal is to put all the logic here that is independent right now into a service, AngularJS service, right? Angular services, and then those services would be injected into my controller. But right now that thing hasn't been done yet. Okay. Anyway, I have just here. Okay, and this is how I'm using the Angular. I have a module called card display module without any dependencies here, and then I have a controller, card display controller. Only dependency that I am providing to it is just the built-in scope dependency here. And excuse me, here on line number 10, I'm creating the instance of my deck here, and then. Remember this, I don't have any fancy user stuff right now, just the hard-coded username. That's what this guy is doing here. I defined the JavaScript array object later on. And here is the player resources. And of course this display cards, basically this method called display cards would be called okay. Right here is a display card method that I will show you how it is being called from the view, from the HTML markup. And then as you can see right here, I have an array of resources. So my player resources is the card of the players. Okay. So this total player, this is my model object, which is basically that drop down list that you will see. So whatever value that is selected, I'm going to go over that many iterations, right? And on each iteration, from basically in the deck, hey, give me 3 cards. On the first iteration, the deck is already filled and everything, it give me 3 cards, and set that into this variable player cards right here. And then after that, now I have the card, and then I have a service called my card engine, and I said to the card engine, hey, here is a 3 card, please do the evaluation of each card. But when I say evaluation, basically it's tell me whether they are, it's a pair card or highest card or flush or straight or whatever. That is done by this little function call. And after that, I had to this is just a custom message. I would like to know if it's a pair or card, I would like to display a message a little differently than the other. That's why I have this if and else branches here. This is just a message that I would like to display here. Has a pair of, of course this one I need to say jack, that I need to have, this is kind of like a bug. I would like to display the actual, this picture value like a jack instead of 11. And then this is my player resources, is an object, and I'm pushing on each iteration. I'm pushing the random player's name and the cards and the evaluation results of the card and the display name into here. That is it. And once that is all done, and that's the binding is done right here into Angular version.html. This is pretty straight, nothing is there in the view. I mean, like, if as you can see, the whole page is as a render as an AngularJS page. That's why I have an ng app directive in here, and this is my module name into ng directive, and the controller is my card display controller, as I saw you earlier. And then like this is a total players that I was iterating over in my model. And when the drop down list, when I select something, this is ng change directive, these methods get fired, right? Okay, and then here binding of that one is pretty easy. Okay, this one is saying if there is a resources, if there is that array in the model, if there is a card in that array, basically so, otherwise don't show it. And then it's very simple. I have ng repeat controller, right? In this controller, basically this is my array. I'm iterating through each of the item in the array. So and then of course the other thing, I have a second ng repeat here. It is because each player has 3 cards. So I'm saying here player resource. So basically has a property called player cards. Each of these property has sub property called player cards. So basically in this case I'm just asking 3. That's why this basically for each of those it's going to run 3 times this markup here. Okay. On each iteration, it's gonna, all it does is basically display the image right here. ng src ng resource a directive. To that directive, basically this is my resource path. That remember in the beginning that I told you that this is the path of the card. And then some CSS, and then finally just the player name, just random name, and just the description. Those are just made up hard-coded value. The most important thing is this one here. Well, basically these 3 lines of code. Okay, that is all I have. Of course, like I told you before, my next goal is to have this code. Also, just by clicking, it will tell me like who is the winner here in this game. I'm working on that one. I kind of started writing that logic into there is my card game winner decider. I have just started writing the logic. I haven't really completed this one yet. Maybe in the later, once I'm done, I would be sharing this one with you guys. Anyway, I will be putting all this source code into the GitHub. I have my GitHub account, and I will be saving all this information in there. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. and following me. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much.